You're listening to Estrogen Dropouts.
Hey, welcome back to Estrogen Dropouts. I'm one of your hosts, Erin.
I'm Elizabeth, and today we are talking about the hot topic of getting the ick. So when you get the ick from your partner, it's kind of like you get this instant distaste or disgust for them. And it can sometimes like throw you off in a relationship.
Yeah. And the ick, I've known the concept of the ick for like ever. And I have a funny story about it. But I didn't know that it had a term until the show Nobody Wants This, the first season, when Kristen Bell's character gets the ick from, is it Adam Brody or Adam?
Yeah. And it's a great show. If you guys haven't seen it, you've got to watch it. There's 2 seasons out. It's wonderful.
Well, I love it because it's two sisters that are podcasters.
True.
And she gets the ick from Adam, and then her sister's like, "Oh, you got the ick." You know, like you can't come back from the ick. And I was like, "Oh, that's what it's called." I never knew it had a name. I just always thought that it was just, I don't know what I would have called it. But so my funny story is, Jeff and I have been married almost 35 years in December of 2025. And when we first started dating, we got serious really quickly. If you know me in real life, like we met April 26th. I had a boyfriend. I broke up with him. We had our first date May 13th. I turned 20 on July 11th, and then we got married December 8th, all in the same year. And my mother cried when we told her we were getting married, but that's a whole nother story. So we had started dating and we were getting serious so fast. And we were at my mom's house watching TV one night. And I guess this was the first time I ever saw him without his shoes on and socks on. And he had his feet up on the coffee table, or kind of sitting on the coffee table. And I saw his feet and his toes, and I got the major ick. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to break up with this guy. I'm like, my kids almost weren't born because of his feet. I mean, but as I sat there thinking to myself, and I didn't know the reason I was getting the ick, which we'll talk a little bit later about the reasons we can get the ick. But I was like, he has a 47 long page of pros. He's kind, he's honest, he's reliable, all these great things about him. But then it was like on the cons list, it was like his feet. And so I had to physically tell myself, do not break up with this guy because of his feet.
That is so funny. So I've borderline gotten the ick with Chris. Anytime I get the ick with Chris, it's always about eating or breathing. He is such a heavy breather. I'm always like, what are you doing? And he's like, what? I'm breathing. Literally, those are that's the conversation in our house. Or he'll be eating and he inhales his dinner or chews with his mouth open. Thankfully, whenever I'm like, oh my God, and then he's like, sorry, and then he'll stop. I mean, he does correct it and stuff, but he's like, it's the military. It got me to eat he's like, we to eat on a 3-minute timer. And so he's like, I'm just used to that. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's definitely ick worthy, but it's not, for me, it's not worthy enough to totally throw away the relationship, which typically that's whenever you think of ick, you think of I am done. There's no way I can connect with this person after you get the ick, is the way the younger girls use it. And I do think it's a thing for older women as well.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I don't get that too much from Jeff ever. Maybe the eating, but I get that with anyone though.
Me too. I don't want to hear you chew.
Yeah, so it's not just Jeff. I mean, and so I know that's more of a me thing because I have the misophonia. And I think women have it way more than men. And so whenever I hear people chewing, it's more of a drive me crazy thing than an ick thing. It's more like I want to stab somebody.
Yeah, same. So my son has this also. And so what we do is put on now just light music during dinner. And if it's orchestra, if it's easy, jazz, whatever, in the background. And so it really helps diffuse that.
Yeah. So that's why eating in a restaurant with a group of people never bothers me because it's so loud. You can't really hear anyone chew. But in your own house, exactly, if you don't have either background music on or background noise from a TV and everybody's just sitting at the table, and if you're not having a lot of loud conversations, it's just everybody's listening to everybody chew. And I think misophonia is probably very common.
I think so. Well, let me share some common icks that women have. So according to TikTok and ChatGPT, men who always need validation, that is ick-worthy.
Okay. Yeah.
Like being needy. I kind of feel like, I don't know, how do you feel? I feel like kind of like if you always need validation, that's inner child work that you need to be doing. Don't bring that to my door. Like, take care of your business.
Well, anyone that needs constant validation, except for when you have a toddler who just
Yeah,
wants you to look at everything that he does or she does and be like, look, mom, like, grow up. You're not a toddler anymore. I don't need to constantly tell you good job for going pee pee in the potty. Um,
exactly.
but
Or like emptying the dishwasher, which is,
right.
I think, is a like whenever women, I mean, thank God Chris does not do this, but I know like when men like give a like they want to be praised for the housework that they do. And women are like, okay, I don't give you a list when you ask, what did I do today? So I don't expect you to, but you want a pat on the back for doing your share.
Right. Just for doing things that need to get done around the house. Like, I don't think that's praiseworthy.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like if you go above and beyond, like you just fixed this and you saved us $2,000 from having to pay a repairman, maybe I might be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and I think, men get a little bit more, there is a little bit more stigma attached to needy men than needy women, maybe. But
Yeah, I
I
think so.
personally, anybody that's super needy is probably not last in my life because, like, if somebody is, I don't know, clingy, needy, yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm just too independent for that.
yeah.
Okay, so chewing with a mouth open, which that was a big one. Getting angry over small inconveniences. So if he's like getting angry while driving or while standing in lines, or if he's very tense, I mean, get the ick over that, which valid, I could see. Bad hygiene, 100% yes. No ambition, yes.
Yes.
Like, women have this innate need, not that we can't also, I think, provide, but we've got to be matched with a provider. And if you don't have the ambition to work and provide, 100%.
Yes, I agree. I mean, even though nowadays so many more women out earn their husbands,
Yeah. Which
but
is totally okay. I still think, though, the husband also has
absolutely.
to.
It's like, but if your wife is the sole provider or the majority provider, then you need to be bringing something else to the table besides like an income. So that means that you're taking a load off of her. You're doing more of the housework, or you're doing more of the childcare, or you're doing more of the other shit that she would normally do, right? I mean, it's for years were still bringing home paychecks and doing the lion's share of the work around the house and having to ask their partner. Jeff and I went through this. And he is a really good, husband. He is very conscientious. But he would do anything I asked him to, but had to ask. It's like men aren't always proactive thinking of what needs to get done. And so, I could say like, hey, will you fold the laundry? But again, then it's like, I still have to manage everything.
Yeah, it's still the mental load. Like, you want someone just to take initiative and to know that. And to be fair, a lot of times they aren't raised doing these things, so they don't think. So sometimes you do have to kind of, I hate it when women say they have to train their husbands, but I don't know a better way to say that. But to me it sounds more like that's like a dog. I don't really like that, but you do have to kind of teach them sometimes, because sometimes their family or their mothers did a lot for them, and so they aren't also doing more chores and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think our husband's generation wasn't expected. They didn't see their dads do a lot of that. So it wasn't modeled.
Yes.
Whereas like our kids' generation is definitely more learning to have equal share in all of the household, income, all of that. So I do think there is a change for sure.
Okay, next, always living in the past, like glory days of high school. They're always commenting like, oh, back when I was the quarterback in high school, or back in college when I was the party guy, or whatever. And you're like 50. Get over it. 100% ick. I'm like, if you are living in the past like that, have you not done anything good in your recent life that you need to revisit? Like, it's time to make some new exciting memories.
Yeah. If you peaked in high school,
You know.
you never had anything else happen,
Or even college. If you peaked in
yeah.
college, ick. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's funny that a lot of these that you're mentioning are what I would call red flags of a relationship. And I'm in this really great group on Facebook, not because I'm dating, but just for research purposes. It's called Burned Haystack Dating Method. This lady, Jenny Young, started this group. She is a linguist professor, and she started it because, and I think it's genius. And she's actually writing a book now. You can find the group on Facebook. It has, I don't know, 200,000 members. But it's for people who are dating, and which is not me. But so the burned haystack is everyone's looking for their needle in the haystack. And how do you find a needle in the haystack? You burn the haystack to the ground. So what she says is that if you're on a dating app and you swipe left or right, I think it's right is like good and left is bad. So instead of if somebody comes across your feed for a potential date that's in your area, and if you swipe left on him, he's going to end up recycling and coming back around. So instead, she advocates for swiping block. It's called block to burn. So you burn the haystack to the ground. So you're burning through all the people that aren't good matches for you to find your needle. But one of the things that she talks about in a lot of the posts are the rhetoric behind like dating profiles of men and the things that they say and the way they say it, and disciplinary directive and all these different terms that I'm learning that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating to me just because of the psychology behind it. But all of these that you're saying are things that she would call just total red flags, and they would be a B to B, block to burn. So it's funny.
Yeah, I do think that. I do think icks are kind of red flags, but they're also, yes, like just a toe thing. It can be something that just grosses you out, or it can be something serious.
Yeah, you're like a man child, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Somebody that just chews with their mouth open, that's probably an ick thing, because he can be reminded like, hey, in polite company, we don't chew with our mouth open. Or if he just, doesn't do a good job with his, shaving, or has really gross feet, but they're clean. Jeff's feet were always clean. Let me make sure I make that clear.
Yeah.
It wasn't like overgrown toenails. It was just his feet are not attractive. He's a very attractive person. He has lots of great qualities about him, but his feet they're just not attractive. And I've seen some attractive feet in my days. So, that was the ick for me. It wasn't a red flag, his bad feet. I'm like, how could that be a red flag?
True. Okay. So some of these other things I would say are more red flags, which bragging constantly,
yes,
being rude to servers, being mean in a joking way, like if they're always joking with you. And then things that I have as an ick. Okay. So I'm going to say these are probably more icks, would be unkempt facial hair. Like I think like if you have, my husband has a beard, love it. Sometimes it gets a little unruly. I'm like, dude, you got to tighten it up.
Yeah.
When it's unruly, it starts to look like pubic hair. I'm like, that's just ick. Then, this is what the young gals are saying. If they thumb up your texts all the time, or just answer it with one word, but don't actually like engage with you or give you anything, then it's it's mostly like grooming and that type of thing.
Yeah, because you think about if you see a guy with a really unkempt beard, to me, it just screams like dirty. Yeah, like, food in a beard or something. And sometimes Jeff, because Jeff has a beard as well, and we're eating and he'll get and I will get the ick for a brief second. It's like a little crumb or something. I'm like, oh, you got something in your beard. Get it out. It's like quickly before I don't want to touch you.
I do the same thing with Chris. I'm like, oh my God, there's something. And he's like, what? And I'm like, ew, I can't touch it. Like just
or
wipe
like
your
eye booger or a booger in somebody's nose. You're like, oh, get that booger out of your nose. We have a funny story. This is when Hayden, our youngest, was little, and he was with Jeff in the bathroom. Like they were in the men's room together or using the bathroom, washing their hands. And then Hayden's like, Dad, 2 things. First, you got a booger in your nose. And just like, and then the second one was what he wanted to ask, but he had to tell him, you got a booger in your nose,
That's so funny.
And it's like,
well, I think that a lot of times when we get the ick, we need to go inward to figure out where the relationship is lacking if you are in a committed relationship. So that's kind of the time where you self-reflect and you're like, okay, there's a disconnection, because I can tell you what, I am less tolerable and get the ick more if I'm feeling disconnected from Chris.
Yes.
Then it's like, if we are disconnected and I don't feel like we're besties, everything this man does irritates the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And if we are besties, he can literally do anything and nothing bothers me.
Yes, I think that is the key in a long-term relationship.
Yes.
For dating purposes, I think some of the reasons that we get the ick, is that for the icky things, not so much for the red flags. I think if you feel like something's a red flag, pay attention to it, girl. Because our intuition, your gut is always right. So if it's something that, Like
he's rude to servers. That's a red flag.
that's a total deal breaker. And actually, one of my best friends, when I first met her and her husband, I hated him from the get go. Like, he was so braggy, not about himself, but like about her dad. So, her dad was super successful, wealthy. And I just feel like that's just like, if you are going to brag, at least brag about something you've done, not about what somebody else's, you know. And, anyways, they're divorced and she, you know, lived to tell the tale. But I think that oftentimes when we first start, but if you do have a red flag, you should pay attention to it. But I think one of the biggest reasons that we get the ick, and for me, I know it was with Jeff, is that it is an avoidance for deeper connection. And we were getting so serious so fast. I was young. And it wasn't even that because I had other long-term serious boyfriends, but I knew this was something different. And so instead of really looking at the reason that I was putting up like a wall, or potentially putting up a wall, was because I was frightened, right? I was scared. I mean, I was
Mechanism. Like, you're just
totally
fearful. And so you all of a sudden want to look at what you think are the icks to protect your heart and
yes,
to protect where you are. So you have to really make sure that you have to really examine it from a very fair point of view.
yes. And the other reason I think is sometimes is that, you know, anytime we first start dating somebody and, you know, or we're first falling in love, if you will, there's always that honeymoon phase. There's the honeymoon phase in friendships too, right? I mean, so this could apply to friendships where, you know, have you ever had like a female, like a friendship crush where you just think this person, like the sun rises and sets on this person and you just think everything that they do is so great. They're just so cool. I love them. But then there's something that they do and it's like we've idolized them so much that we haven't seen them as a real full-fleshed person. And so we end up like being disappointed. It's like never meet your heroes because you have them built up to be something superhuman and they're really just normal people. And so we have to like be able to like embrace imperfection because we're imperfect people as well. That's my dog. He's sleeping and he's dreaming.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I'm not going to cut it out so people hear Sheriff. But then another reason that we sometimes get the ick, Sheriff, is the mirror theory. And we talk about this a lot when I did yoga, is that people are a mirror for us. And so most of the time when we find something in someone else that we don't like, it's probably something about ourselves that we dislike and it triggers us because whatever it is, something you don't like about yourself.
Or you want to talk more and you are holding your voice back because you're fearful of being too much because you've been told you're too much. So it's like, yes. It can go either way with that.
Exactly. So people are a mirror for us. And so, you know, sometimes the things that we dislike in someone else is really that like one of our what we consider a negative trait. And so, you know, latch onto that.
Yeah. So I've got a friend that always, I think, can be rude. And she likes to like question people and call them out for things that she's always like, well, she feels very entitled. Like, well, I think that I don't know why you would do this because I think it's so clearly X, Y, and Z. And it triggers me because I'm always like, why? Even when she doesn't do it to me, she does it to other people. I'm like, this is so irritating to me because I think it's rude. And I don't think that we are entitled enough to think that we are owed an explanation on someone else's life. Like, that is so entitlement to me. However, why does this trigger me? And so I think it triggers me because she is so brave to say what she thinks and not care how it is perceived. So do I want to be like her? No. But would I like to be a little bit more like her? Yes, because I am often worried about hurting people's feelings and she is not. And so there is a part of me, I don't want to be like her, you know, totally. But maybe her triggering me, and I think she's a red flag. Like, I don't keep her in my inner circle. She is definitely kept afar because I think she's offensive and everything else. However, there is something in there that I do wish I could be more like.
You kind of are like, I wish maybe I would use my voice more to express. For me, especially, you know, I'm the second born, and then my sister was born 15 months after me, is that I learned to just like kind of go along because I was kind of in the middle and so you learn not to make a big deal or be demanding. And that's the people pleasing part of me that I've been trying to really undo. And I mean, my mother is an amazing mother, but I mean, when you got 3 kids that are 4 and under, you just are doing the best you can. And it wasn't that I was neglected or anything. I'm not saying that. But so I think that for her, that lady she's going against the grain. She's kind of speaking up. All the things that we've been taught, you and I, or have experienced in our own through our childhood experiences, to like keep the peace.
Yes. And
So
she's
she's
like,
not a
not, she
peacemaker.
doesn't care about, no, she's not, she doesn't care about peace.
I know. And that always freaks me out that people don't care about the peace. I'm like, how?
That's me. I'm like, how? And I'm always too stunned to talk. Like every time she said, I'm like, and we leave, I'm like, I can't believe she said that. And I'm like, and I'll think about it and ruminate on it for days. And I'm like, this is bananas that she
She's
just
already out of her mind. She said it,
right.
she's done.
And
Yeah.
so, but it is always about us, and it is about my beliefs on what is proper etiquette, like kind, like all of these things. So even though, no, I don't want to be like her, maybe I do want to have a little bit more.
It's like, maybe I want to be able to like speak up.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, I
And
still think
I
she's rude and
really, really
offensive.
need to. Right.
But
Yeah.
I think I would like to have the confidence to say some things that without being fearful of it hurting people.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I'm a peacemaker as well. And I think that sometimes, being a peacemaker, there's definitely benefits to both. I mean, being
Definitely, because you're more of a, you can go between, you can build bridges more than, yeah, like I don't want to be here just to rattle people.
right. But
I,
some people do. And that's always, I don't understand it. And in some ways I am like, wow, I wonder what that feels like to be that way.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I have some strategies for helping you recover from the ick. And so in long-term relationships, of course, you want to recover from the ick because you don't want to like divorce your husband because of his, loud
Chewing.
chewing or his loud breathing. I mean, even though sometimes you may want to kill him, you may just be like, oh my God, or because he has something in his beard or whatever. But, ultimately it's not worth a divorce over, but is to communicate openly. So talk about sharing your feelings, being able to tell somebody how you feel, not in a way, like in an honest way, you're not trying to be hurtful, but you're wanting to let them know like, hey, this is so irrational for me to like be able to stand to hear you breathe, but it really is like it gets in my head. So let's figure out a way that I could have a sign or a word that I say when I'm like feeling that way. Or if I just excuse myself to leave the room, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah. And it really is about just connection, I think, because if you can be more connected with someone, I think all those things won't irritate you as much.
Yes. And if you feel like you're loved and appreciated and all the things that go into a relationship. And then another way is obviously you said like introspection, but practicing self-reflection. And so looking at really why, like how you are with that lady, why is she triggering me? Why am I getting the ick from her? And you're like, it's because she is a mirror for me. And so she is kind of like bringing up feelings of me feeling like maybe I take too much and maybe I should be more assertive or what have you. And then also embracing imperfection. None of us are perfect. None of us shit rainbows have our imperfections. And so remembering that somebody else might be getting the ick about you about something that you don't think is ick worthy. Reframing your perspective. Like I said, for Jeff, that's what I had to do was reframe my perspective as I was like, he has a 47-page long pro list and then his con list is his feet, that he has weird, ugly feet. Okay. Like, am I going to like throw away a possibility of a very wonderful relationship with this person just because he has gross feet?
Yeah, no.
So, and then also, I mean, another thing is if you are really getting the ick from somebody, take a break from them. So
Maybe it really is. You have to do some self-reflection because it also could be your intuition that this person is just not right for you. If it's not just one thing, if there's multiple things that this person is doing, I mean, yeah, you can't hide from the truth that maybe it is a sign.
Yeah, for sure. And then sometimes therapy can help you too. I mean, talking to a therapist or something and getting a therapist's take on it. And in a long-term relationship, obviously therapy, but if it's like 3 dates in and you're like getting the ick every time you're with somebody, I would just say, don't push
Peace out.
Like life is too short to like try to force something to fit. Round peg in a square hole. Oh, just like keep burning.
And I would think too, like I just want to remind everyone that even if you're not dating, to take some of this conversation that we're having, like pay attention, because if you have adult kids, like maybe it'll give you an insight or get you thinking. So that way, if your son or daughter come to you with something like this, then you'll know how to, maybe you'll have thought about this on a deeper level to help address it and help them navigate it.
Yeah. So funny that you mentioned that about kids is I've never gotten the ick from my kids.
Never,
Even when they were stinky and gross and like,
never.
yeah, isn't that weird?
Unconditional love, baby. Never.
I know. It's like I've never gotten the ick from my kids. And so there is something I think to be said. It's like that's, how our species has survived. Because imagine if you got the ick from your baby. You'd be like, I don't want to hear you breathe. It's like, oh no, your baby can poop all over themselves. And you're like, oh my gosh, look at what you did.
Mhm.
And you just think it's the cutest thing,
I know.
It's like, and the other thing that I think would be kind of interesting to find out, because I don't think Jeff ever gets the ick from me. He's never said anything, like really, ever. But I don't think that men probably get the ick as often as women, if they do get it, even at all.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I need to ask Chris to know for sure. However, I did see this video from this woman and I asked Chris about this video and he's like 100%. So I don't know, I should have like clicked on her page to see what she was. She was a professional, like in her 40s. And she was saying, women, do you know how when you see like a little kitten out in the middle of the street, and if you're not a cat person, replace it with a puppy. And you are like, immediately, you love that kitten. You will take that kitten inside. You'll be like, oh my gosh, it's the kitten lottery. Like, I've got to take care of this kitten. I've got to care for it. The kitten will be a holy terror. We'll be like tearing up your curtains. We'll be doing, but you still love that kitten and you are in it for the long term. You're like, I am here to help save this kitten. She said the right man, his brain fires off the same way as women's do when they see that kitten. And so that's why, like, even if you're a mess, like you've got terrible credit, you're like got all this debt, you've got like whatever issues you've got going on, like, and I'm trying to think of back, like when I was in my 80s, when I met Chris, like I had credit card debt from shopping and I was just a mess. You're going to bars, you're getting drunk, you're doing all this. It didn't matter. Like he looked at me like I was that kitten. And she said he will want to take that kitten in, bring it, care for it, support it, nurture it, and love it forever. He is committed. And so I asked him about it and he's like, yes, you are my kitten. And he's like, I just want to cuddle you, take care of you, like everything forever.
That's interesting. Okay.
Because women, we don't feel that way about men. Like we just think like we love them. We want them to like, we want to like build a family with them and a life, but we don't feel like we want to care for them. And like, we don't feel like kitten qualities for them, but men feel that for us.
I'll have to ask Jeff about that. It's funny because when I met Jeff, I was in college. He was an Army Ranger. He had dropped out of high school, gotten his GED, dropped out of junior college. He did not have a checkbook register. He kept his balance in his head.
And just so you guys know, he's an engineer now.
Yeah, he's so smart. He has a degree in nonlinear dynamics and chaos from Georgia Tech. But I thought I was like the prize. Like I thought, I was in college. I had good credit. He had terrible credit. But so I thought I was the catch when we got married. I'm in college. I graduated high school. I have all my teeth, but he was a diamond in the rough. I'll have to ask him about the kitten thing. That's
You'll have to ask him report back on next week's episode because Chris is like 100%. He's like, you didn't know that about men? That's 100% how we feel. I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Okay.
No. Okay. So what do they call it?
They'll call it the kitten theory. I don't know.
Okay. The kitten theory. That's cute. All right.
Okay, so I've got another funny story. Okay, this is true. So Hannah, this weekend on Saturday, her girlfriends and her had, it's called a bracket party, which I have not seen this on TikTok. They learned about it on TikTok. And it's where you pick one subject and everyone argues their point and there's a winner. So theirs was which of their ex-boyfriends gives the worst ick. And so they all brought a picture of a specific ex-boyfriend and like had traits of him. And they put it on this poster board. And so there was 6 of them. And they wrote out like, I know this sounds terrible, but like if you're like, but this was just for their little group, right? So they wrote out like,
it's not publicized. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was like controlling, like they, all the things that like give them the ick. And then they voted.
Keep racking off. Like,
yeah.
It's like, these two go, and then, yeah.
And so then somebody's ex-boyfriend won the bracket. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. But they've done this for other things. They did this last time for conspiracy theories. And so everyone had to bring a conspiracy theory and then they each had to argue their point. And so this time they did ex-boyfriends giving the ick. And then here's the funny, well, crazy part. Then they were like, okay, now they're all in their mid 20s and they were, well, mid to upper 20s. And they're like, let's all play pregnancy roulette. So somebody brought a bunch of pregnancy tests and everybody had to go in the bathroom. They wrote their name on it and they put them in a cup. They peed on it and they put it in a cup. One of the girls was pregnant. Can you believe?
And she didn't know?
She said she had just found out that week and she said she was going to tell them. And then she found out like through the group text that somebody was like, let's do pregnant. And so she was like, oh, this will be a horrific way to tell them. And it is a girl that is in a very serious relationship, was about to move in with somebody and start her life with somebody. Thank God. But so it's going to be okay. And she's like got a stable career. She's a psychiatric nurse. Anyway, it's just so fun. He's like a military guy. I mean, so they're going to be fine. But it's just crazy. And my daughter Hannah was like, the way we were all screaming, we had.
Because then they were all like, is it me?
Everyone was like,
because you pee on it and then you put it in the thing. You
Yeah.
don't look at your own results.
I don't know. I didn't ask that. But Hannah said, then
I
you
don't
like,
think you do. I
you
think it's like
cover your eyes
you pee
and
on
you
it,
pull
you tap it, and then you put it in the little thing, and then you just pull out the stick. So it could be you.
And so
but luckily
that girl, she just found out on Tuesday, and Hannah was like, how did you not tell us? And she's like, I was thinking about ways to tell everybody. And she's like, and then I just thought, well, I knew that we were having somebody put in the text, let's do a pregnancy.
Yeah, let's go to the Dollar Tree and buy a bunch of pregnancy tests. And yeah, well, that's one of the benefits of menopause. You never have to worry about being pregnant.
I know. It's crazy.
Well, do you have anything else to add about the ick?
About the ick? No, I don't. Do you?
Okay, so nothing else about the ick. Do you have a hot topic for me this week?
I do. Okay, so this is trending, and I actually started it yesterday. It is the 2 cups of beans a day challenge. So here are the benefits of eating 2 cups of beans a day. And so basically it's 1 can if you want to eat it by the can, or you can soak them in whatever. People are claiming, and I did chat GPT this to say what the benefits are to see if this was all valid, and it is. It reduces inflammation in your body. It can heal your gut health, promotes healthy digestion, helps your liver to release toxins because of all the fiber. It relieves constipation. You get high fiber, high protein. It controls your blood sugar levels, high in iron, magnesium, zinc, folate, B vitamins, high in antioxidants, and it is great for the planet because of everything it takes to put meat through processing and all of that. And it's great for your budget because right now so many people are out of a job with a government shutdown or not getting paid. So 2 cups of beans a day. Now, if you are somebody that does not have a slow digestion, you'd want to start slowly with this. And so they say like just have a couple spoonfuls like in the morning, a couple spoonfuls in the middle of the day, but work your way up to that. But if you're someone with a slow digestion, go ahead, jump all in, eat a can of beans a day. You can eat them all in one sitting. You can spread it out throughout the day, however you want. You can cook them. You can eat them cold. However you want to do it is fine. It's just, you have to do this for 30 days. What do you think? From your health perspective.
I have nothing against beans. One thing I will say is I would not start with two cups of beans a day if you haven't been a bean eater. You will have so much gas just because it ferments in your lower digestive tract. The only other thing I would say is that, I mean, they're super great with fiber, is if you can pressure cook your beans, it's better. This is one thing that's so frustrating about like functional medicine or just the wellness industry. It's like people are like, go vegetarian. Other people in the wellness industry are like, go pure carnivore. That's better for you. We weren't made to eat beans. We weren't made to eat plants because plants have oxalates and
Yes, that freaks me out.
So I think you have to find a balance for yourself. And so if you're somebody who has beans regularly or has a pretty high fiber diet, you'll have an easy time adjusting to it. Beans also can be high in phytic acid, which can bind with minerals like calcium, magnesium, things like that. And they can make it so then your body won't digest those minerals and vitamins. So, I mean, you could try it for 30 days and see how you feel. I'm always a believer that, you never know until you try something because every person is so individualized. Jeff and I went through a phase for a while for breakfast. We were eating black beans or pinto beans or some kind of beans at breakfast for the fiber. Um, and we weren't eating 2 cups a day, I wouldn't say. But for all the reasons that you said, they're good. Yes. And I think there's equally reasons that it's probably not good for some people. So you'd have to try it and see. And if it works for you, if you're like, I feel great, I'm pooping regularly, I'm getting up in my protein, because if you're not like a person that eats a lot of meat, or meat can be hard to digest too, beans, I mean, while they can form a lot of gas lower down in the intestines than in the stomach, they're broken down pretty easily. The protein is denatured easier than, like, say, a steak. Yeah, I mean, could probably have a good bit of gas. And which is funny that you say that about the planet, because one of the things that they say about, like, cows is one reason why they're bad for the planet is because all the methane they release, the gas that they release, So you definitely would become a methane producer more so than.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
I mean, the effect on the planet is negligible from human gas. Then, there's always, it's so funny because, I had sinus surgery 10 days ago, and I had to take pain meds. Well, she gave me pain meds, which I needed for the first couple days, but I was taking the pain meds for 2 days, and I did not poop. And so it's like, okay, do I deal with the pain, or do I deal with the not pooping and feeling like complete crap? So there's a trade-off for everything. All that to say is, like, there's a good in everything and there's bad in everything. So you have to decide for yourself which works for you.
Yeah, I think I was interested in trying it because I always feel like a little puffy. Like I feel like my fingers feel a little swollen, my feet feel a little swollen, and I don't really. So I thought,
That's histamine.
oh, yeah, and we know I have histamine issues. So I
That's
just feel
histamine.
like maybe it would help with inflammation, but maybe it's histamine, not inflammation.
It is. Well, I mean, it's just a granulation of your mast cells in your cells that are releasing histamine to attend to what they consider to mediate some kind of reaction. Histamine has a good benefits. I've been dealing a lot with histamine since my surgery because I had to come off I take, like a daily Claritin. And so I've been dealing with a lot of histamine. I had to get back on my, allergy medication. And my histamine is all brought on by menopause, perimenopause, menopause, because when I had hormones, I had the resiliency to deal with the histamine. And we're getting totally off topic. Histamine is really needed when you need it, but when you have an intolerance to it, or you just, for whatever reason, your body is just reacting to releasing histamine for no freaking reason, because you didn't get bit by a wasp, which would be why you would normally have a histamine dump. It causes inflammation, flushing, redness, itching, all kinds of stuff. So, but I mean, I would try it, like, especially with your gut digestion, but I would ramp up I wouldn't do 2 cups to start.
So because I have such a slow digestion, and I have to take like so many magnesium citrates just to poop regularly. It's been 2 days, but I did wake up and poop today, which is really good without.
Oh, so you started off eating 2 cups.
Yeah, I started yesterday, and today I woke up and had a poop. I was like, wow, okay, that's
this is what normal people do every day. Yeah.
And I was not gassy or anything, which I don't know. But what some of the people are saying is that the gassiness, but I did eat beans normally. I didn't eat as much as I did. Like, I do eat beans regularly, though. I eat black beans all the time. But what people were saying is that if you do get really gassy, when it's probably new for you, but then as your gut starts to heal or get accustomed to the beans, the gassiness will go away. I don't know if that's true or not.
I think it will. It's just like, if you have not been a bean eater and you eat 2 cups of beans, you are going to have some major farts. I mean, for sure.
And I didn't have any stomach discomfort. And I do see women on there saying they're having stomach discomfort, but they're still going to try it. And I'm like, I didn't have any of that. But I'm also, a lot of people are just doing this in place of meat and stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm still eating meat. I mean, really, you need over 100 grams of protein a day, especially in menopause. But so for me, it's just like a supplement to supplement meat.
Right now, with everything at the grocery store costing like it does at the airport, a can of beans is $1.49, so It's a great way to stretch. So if you make chili and you're like, oh, I can only do, if I do half a pound of bison or hamburger or whatever your protein is that you choose, you can do 2 cans of beans and you can stretch it.
Yes. Yeah, we love,
So
in fact, that's how we make chili. Like we do a pound of ground beef and then we do a can of black beans, a can of cannellini beans, can of red beans. Like we mix all these beans in. We just like the taste of it.
yeah.
So if you're not doing that, you should try it.
Yeah, I love beans, especially black beans, pinto beans, beans that
Hmm.
have been cooked like for a while and have like a lot of flavor. I mean, just straight out of can, no, but you add a bunch of like, garlic and onions and cumin and, oregano and I'm all about. So interesting. Okay. The 2 cups of beans a day challenge. So
Yeah. So
if
I'll
any of our
update y'all.
listeners do it, yeah, if you do it, you got to let us know. Either you can thank us or you can or you can
Yeah.
be mad at us.
Yeah.
So, well,
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 that's
I
all
think
I
that's
have today. So thanks everyone for joining us. So be sure to give us a follow so that you'll get updated when our next episode drops next Wednesday.
and then follow Estrogen Dropouts on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can watch the full videos on YouTube.
And
And
we hope you have a great week.
we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a production of Estrogen Dropouts, LLC.